Hey everybody, it's Morgan. Welcome back to another video for the YouTube version of Podcast of the Dragon. Before I get going any further, if you could like this video, subscribe to my channel, share the video, and comment in the section down below, that would really be helpful and I'd appreciate it a lot. Today, I'm going to talk about Shadow Spawn in the Wheel of Time teaser trailer because everybody's still putting out videos about it because, well, A, we don't have any more material to work on, get going Watt on Prime, and B, there's still a ton of really cool stuff to look at. I wanted to talk about the Shadow Spawn because of the horrifying Myrddraal, which is, of course, scary with its terrible, like, lamprey eel mouth. But I had been seeing some things saying that maybe with this kind of, like, weird, horrible sucker type mouth, maybe they should combine the Drakkar and the Myrddraal, and that maybe that's what they were doing. And I was thinking, man, I really hope that they don't, because when you're dealing with the horror genre, the market is so saturated with that, and so many people grow up just consuming the horror medium that you have to be very careful about how you present that because people, if you're not careful, especially considering how much has come before, it's going to come off as very cheesy. And as it is, it's like I don't dislike the Myrddraal, and I love watching the react videos for all of the people who don't know anything about the Wheel of Time and seem to just enjoy doing their YouTube channels where they just react to watching trailers or whatever, because every time it gets to the scene where the Myrddraal just goes, ah, they all jump or they're all like, what the hell was that? And it's great. I love it. For those of us who know and love the Wheel of Time, we've all been like, we can't wait to see a Myrddraal. And I am not disappointed in it. But at the same time, for people who have consumed The Lord of the Rings or they've, consumed, it's less so with Game of Thrones because fortunately the, evil, dark, monster type baddies in Game of Thrones didn't look like any of the monster type baddies in the Wheel of Time. And so that's fortunate. So at least they're not going to get the comparisons like that. Lord of the Rings, though, you've got the Dark Rider, you've got the Trollocs, which is like a combination of a troll and an orc. Like, you've got a lot of stuff where people are like, damn, this is derivative. And while, yes, Shadow Spawn are really interesting just from, the basis of, like, this mad scientist created them. This mad scientist made a use of the one power and the true power, or the essence of the Dark One, and used genetic material and just mixed it all together in an ultimate act of mwahaha and created these horrifying monsters. And the Trollocs, they look pretty good. I really would like to see, I can't wait to see a much more clear picture. What I was noticing in a lot of the React videos for people who don't know anything about the Wheel of Time, a number of people were like, Minotaurs? And then some people were saying, Orcs? So if they have the Trollocs just being truly horrifying in like the real horror elements of them. Show us some stuff in cookpots. Show us some stuff where it's just kind of like, where it's like, okay, you could draw the parallel to orcs, but you turn it up to 11. This isn't going to be anything you can make a PG-13. And with the Fade, because yeah, it is the Dark Rider, it's like, okay, it's okay to have, like, the horrifying lamprey mouth. Fine. But have that be like its trick, like its scary trick or something. I'm hoping that that's what that is. And most assuredly, don't combine it with the Drakkar. Like, if you have to, just get rid of the Drakkar. You don't need it. It's not a particularly effective form of Shadow Spawn, and it gets used occasionally, but it's not to great effect, obviously. I like the way that they use it in the very late books, where they're used as like, weird aerial assaults and they're, combining all the catapulting the dead bodies of the Trollocs, and then they do that for several waves, and then they send the Drakkar, and so it's like sneak attacks, things like that. That's a clever use of Drakkar, but for the most part, they're stupid, they're ineffectual, and, sucking someone's soul out. I believe that one of the Forsaken refers to them as not one of Agonor's more inspired creations. So, better to get rid of it than to mash it together with a Fade and then basically be like, oh, it's a Dementor. Because that's already kind of what it looks like when it opens this big, round, horrible lamprey eel looking mouth. You know, already it's got kind of a Dementor-esque look when it's got that weird round mouth. I'm not hating on it because it was effective in being horrifying and horrible monsters. A number of the people that I watched who didn't know anything about Wheel of Time who were like, oh, I'm totally going to watch this show, seemed like they were hooked by monsters. I saw people hooked by monsters. I saw women hooked by, the power of women. I saw people getting hooked by a lot of different things. But the monsters and the magic seem to be a big thing. And so definitely the Fade had an appeal. But I don't think it's going to be scary rather than cheesy if they don't play up the human aspects of it. It really needs to have a human sounding voice, maybe like, the horrible, like, crumpled, rotting snakeskin, whatever. The descriptions that RJ uses that, like, you can't actually really imagine what that would sound like, except just like, horrible, like, whatever. I don't think that a Myrddraal would sound like that. I don't know if that would be intimidating or not. Honestly, it would creep the hell out of me, but whatever. Anyway, if the Myrddraal, like in this pic, there's a very human profile. That Myrddraal's got, like upper lip, the mouth, everything. I'm assuming this is the Myrddraal, and then, and it looks pretty human. And then you get the horrible lamprey eel mouth. So if the lamprey eel face is just what it breaks out when it's feeling especially saucy, and for the most part it's rocking that stoic, if the hood's over its face and it's looking pretty humanoid and it's carrying off its like ominous presence, it really isn't going to be an effective or scary monster if it comes across like a Dementor, or if it comes across too much like, the Ring Wraith or a Black Rider or whatever. It is a Black Rider, but it's like, I find the humanity of the Fades to be what makes them so horrible, because they are so human at the same way that they're so not. And that dissonance between how very human they are and how very not human. And that makes for such good horror. And if they can play up that dissonance, then yeah, show us great special effects when in, like, the heat of the moment when it's getting ready to fight, it just goes and shows you off its horrible toothy mouth. Anyway, I just had a few opinions about that, because, yeah, I'm fingers crossed that they're not going to combine the Drakkar and the Myrddraal, because they're going to have to do something very special with that, I think, for it to not come across as cheesy. Anyway, thanks for tuning in once again to the YouTube version of Podcast of the Dragon, where I react or talk or do whatever, where I do stuff about Wada and Prime. And yeah, please like, please subscribe, please comment. Tell me what you think in the comments about how they're going to do Shadowspawn, how things are going to work. Is it going to be cheesy? Is it going to be good? I think it's going to be good, but tell me what you think. Take it easy, everyone.